Hi friends, Mickey Mankis here and welcome to Out the Back Door. Right now the garden is plump full of pickling cucumbers, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I am going to be showing you how to make a super easy, crunchy dill pickle. Join me. So this is actually my second batch that I'm doing right now. I had done a batch like the day before I went in for my surgery, and I threw that into a half-gallon jar and let that sit up. That is almost 4 weeks old already, and I'm going to show you how crunchy they are at the end of this video. Okay, so I went and I picked my cucumbers, and I have a variety of sizes here. Some of them I am going to can whole. A lot of these I decided I'm going to do spears out of them, but I found that I missed a couple giant ones out in the garden. But what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to make like round slices out of them, coin type slices, and these are going to be my hamburger slice pickles. I like to put pickles on my hamburger all the time, and these are going to do the trick. So that's what I'm going to save these for. I'll get the other ones done first. In order to get crisp pickles, you need to do them as soon as you get them picked. Now I did pick these late yesterday afternoon. I washed them and everything, and then I put them into one of my mesh bags here and put them in the refrigerator. Okay, we are not going to water bath can these. And so I want everything at room temperature. So these have been sitting out. They are still a little bit cool, but not too bad. So while those are sitting, the other thing I want to get going is the brine, because it takes a little bit for that to heat up. So while that's heating, then I can start slicing up my pickles. See how I said that? I'm always on the pickle thing. Once I get the brine going, I can start cutting up my cucumbers for the pickles. The brine is going to be super easy to make. You're going to start with 4 cups of vinegar. I'm going to use white vinegar today. Just make sure that it's 5% acidity. You can use apple cider vinegar if you'd like. I did use that in that half-gallon that I did almost 4 weeks ago, and the flavor is really good in that also. But if you're going to do a lot of them, just be forewarned. The apple cider vinegar costs a little bit more than the white. It's still a good flavor no matter which one you use. So I need 4 cups of the vinegar. I'll dump that into my Dutch oven here. And also into the brine. It does work as a flavoring and preservative. You're going to put canning salt in. Some people go by pickling salt. You can use kosher salt. I'm using a pink Himalayan salt today. It doesn't matter. The only thing I'm going to advise, do not use iodized table salt, because the iodine in there is going to end up turning your liquid cloudy and it's not going to look nice. It's not going to make the taste any different, but it's just not going to look nice. So I'm going to put a half a cup of that. To the 4 cups of vinegar and the half a cup of salt that I've got in there, I'm going to add 12 cups of water. Once I get this added in here, I am going to put it on the stove top. I'm going to put it on high. I'm going to put a cover on it because it'll help it bring it up to a boil quicker. And I want to make sure that all my salt is dissolved in there. So I'll stir it around periodically. I'm just going to sort through. I am going to have 1 jar of just like the whole ones. So I'm going to set these aside so I don't have to cut those up. Now, the brine that I'm making will make approximately for 6 quarts, depending on how tight you pack in everything, your ingredients. Another thing that I was picking while I was out in the garden were the heads of dill. I want the dill seed. And I've already used so much of it. I do have more dill out there growing, but the heads are not into a seed form yet. They're still kind of behind. I'm also going to be using some dill seed that I have in a jar to add to my jars, so I get that good dill flavor. Now, some people don't even put the dill heads in. All they do is they add dill seed to it. It isn't the dill weed that you're getting that flavor from. It is the seed. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is The cucumbers that are approximately this size, I mean, I realize you can buy them in jars like this already, but I don't want them like that. I'm going to make spears out of these, and all I'm going to do is quarter them. And while I'm working on cutting these up, I also have my jars heating up. My ingredients, as I said, are at room temperature, and I want my jars hot, I want my brine hot, and I'm actually going to warm up my lids. I'm going to be using metal flats today, and the only reason I'm not using my tattlers is because I'm not allowed to bend over 90 degrees yet. I've got about 4 more weeks to go, well, maybe 3.5 more weeks to go before I can bend that far. So unfortunately, all my tattler lids are like on the bottom shelf down in the basement and everything else. So it's just like, you know what? I grabbed a new case of jars and I'm going to use the metal flats on those. Now, Mr. Mankus likes the bread and butter, the sweet type refrigerator pickles better than the dills, and I like dills. So I will be doing another video on how to make a super easy recipe for the bread and butter ones. Those you just store in the refrigerator. The brine's almost up to a boil right now, and the salt is almost completely dissolved, but we need that all mixed together and everything. So I am going to start stuffing my jars. I had just pulled them out of the hot water. Besides the dill, I'm also going to be using garlic. If you don't want to put garlic in, that's fine. You don't have to. The recipe actually calls for 3 cloves per quart. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm dropping in close to like 7. And I will save a couple of cloves for, I'm doing wide mouth pints for the hamburger slices. I'll pull the pint jars out of the hot water once I get these filled up and ready to go. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to put approximately 1 dill head, and it's not necessary, into each quart. If you'd like to spice up your pickles a little bit, even though that they're dill pickles, you're welcome to put in like slices of jalapeno into it to give them a little bit of a kick. I'm just going to be making a basic dill pickle recipe with garlic, but they're so super crunchy. Okay, so I've got my dill and I've got my garlic in there, and I'm going to start stuffing in my spears. You want to leave a 1/2 inch headspace, and you want to pack them in there tight. Now, I had the opportunity to teach my sister how to do this not long ago, and that's one of the jars that I had showed you at the very beginning of the video, so that's going to have to sit a while yet. I wasn't up to doing this myself yet, so I talked her through it, and she couldn't believe how easy it was. In fact, she said she'll be making them again, but that was the very first time she's ever canned, and she did an excellent job. But when I told her she had to pack the jars tight, she didn't exactly know how tight to pack them. And so I was kind of going behind her going, that jar needs another one or whatever. So you don't want them to be able to wiggle around in there. One of the great big cucumbers, I did save. I didn't slice it up. I'm going to be using that on salad. And even though it was a little bit bigger, the one nice thing about these pickling cukes, because it is a specific variety of cucumber, they don't get really weird tasting when they get big. You know, they'll get seedy, but they still taste good. I know some people will trim off the blossom end. They'll cut the end off. I am not. Okay, in order to get rid of the end of the spears, I'm going to put those in with the whole ones. My pickles, I can do what I want with them, right? Okay, let's see if I can get my hands stuck in there. All right. I ended up taking 2 of the spears out in order to get all of the whole ones in there along with it. And I just set them aside. I'll munch on those later. I did have 1 quart jar prepared already. Didn't realize it. I guess I'm doing pickle slices in this. I wasn't able to go down and get my mandolin, so I tried to slice them as uniform as possible. And I'm just going to drop those in. By the size of the large cucumbers that I was using for the picklers, for the hamburger pickles, I was guessing that I might end up using 4 pints. And then I took the 1 out, so we'll see what happens. I suppose I could have saved these and made those bread and butter pickles for my husband, but we have regular cucumbers, like burpless, that need to be pickled up. So that's what I generally use when I'm doing the bread and butter pickles, are regular cucumbers instead of the picklers. I see that the brine is boiling right now, so I'm gonna hurry up and get my other pint jar packed up, and then I'll get the brine over here and we'll go to the next step. I'm using the regular metal flats, but being I wanted everything warm, and then I'm putting the hot brine in because we're not water bathing, I did stick them into some hot water to soak, and I don't care what they say about it. It's just like, I feel they're gonna seal better if they're warmed up a bit. So I'm gonna be adding my brine, like I said, a 1/2 inch of headspace. Now, somebody didn't remember to remind me to add the additional dill seed. I remembered at the last minute. It was like, oops, forgot to put that in there. For the quarts, I added probably a heaping 1/4 teaspoon to each jar. You're more than welcome to use like a pre-bought pickling spice if you'd like. I usually don't use that unless I'm doing like pickled vegetables. Also remember, we're gonna have to debubble the jars. And being they're packed so tight like this, it may be a little bit tougher to use your regular debubbler from, you know, if you bought a canning one specifically. So what I have found works really well is I just use a chopstick and kind of get in there and shake it around a little bit to loosen, to get any air bubbles out of there. I may have to do some readjusting on that one because one of my cucumbers is popping up above the liquid. Remember, you're going to wipe your rims off. I've got just a wet paper towel here. I'm going to put my lids on. Remember, it's just fingertip tight with your bands. And I'm going to set these aside. All right, like I said, I've got my jars just sitting the same way as if you had taken them out of a hot water bath canner. You're going to set them aside and you're going to let them seal. Well, they're going to take a little bit longer to seal than as if they were in the hot water bath. But you know what? This is why they're going to stay crisp. They're not going to get mushy. For years I've been doing pickles and I'm water bath canning them and everything else. I've put pickle crisp. I've been trying everything possible. And finally it was like, wow, our daughter-in-law shared some pickles last year with us and they were so crunchy, and I'm like, I need your recipe. And she goes, well, this is all I do, which you saw how simple it was, but there's no water bath canning. That's what's making them all mushy. And they're still going to seal properly and they're going to be good. They are shelf stable. So anyway, here's that half-gallon jug that I did can just before I had my surgery and everything. And I want you to hear how crunchy. I've already dug into it. That's why I've got a different top on here. Ready? These are ready to eat right now. They had a couple more days to go to hit 4 weeks. They're delicious. It doesn't get any better than this, seriously. So I want to thank you for joining me today. If you did like this video, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, and give me a thumbs up and share. If you have any, I just want to keep diving in. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below because I really would like to hear from you. So until next time, you have a wonderful day. God bless. Oh yeah. Best pickles.